midshipman season is on and high now. It's the most interesting season, actually. I'm sure David Hancock can tell you a lot more about this later. As we come to more sessions and we get more interactive, there'll be some specialists that can comment on that. Midshipmen are interesting because as the tide gets low, they sort of they get caught in the tidal pools, and are very good feeding for eagles and even for crows. You can watch them, and many other birds. They come and feed, and they come. The best time to observe eagles is about 2 hours before low tide, because that's when all the midshipmen are caught in the tidal pools, and they're also buried underneath the mud. If you've seen some of my images of eagles actually digging in mud, that's exactly where it comes from. At the moment it's a bit windy. I hope that's not causing too much interference for the microphone. My apologies for that. I do have a windshield, actually a shield, what you call a dead cat, for the microphone, which I left at home. There's just so much technology here involved, so I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. Okay, so I think next time there'll be much more. It'll get better with time, and I think you'll also get another view of how things are done here. Anyway, not much going on at the moment at the nest. They're both asleep. So hopefully later Ma and Pa will come in, and I'll comment more then. So just bear with me. I'll be here for another 2 hours, just short before sunset, and we'll be watching the eagles. Sometimes it gets a bit shaky up here. The slightest movement that I cause will cause a movement over the camera. I apologize for that. I already have an image stabilizer on the camera. You're watching at the moment with a magnification of around, let's see, what's it, 1,000 millimeters? That's 20 magnification. I can go all the way to 60 magnification. We will do that later when the eaglets wake up or when there's more action. I can get an incredible close-up that hopefully you'll enjoy. At the moment, I'm still using 20 times magnification, which is still fairly large, much larger than what you get with normal binoculars. But we will get much closer views later when something happens, hopefully. I mean, that's the fun part. Eagles are not predictable. I do notice that their patterns do change quite a lot, and I'm sure that many of you who observe the cameras on a daily basis can verify that. Their patterns of behavior change very frequently. It changes according to the tides, the seasons, the way the eagles grow up, and so on. So it's very difficult to predict. But there are some fun stories that I do observe. For example, Pa is easy to distinguish Pa from a white-rock nest from Ma, not only because of the size, but mainly because of the escort of crows he gets. He's a very fierce predator on little crows. I see him often dive into the neighbor's tree here, followed by about 10 crows, and they are very intelligent, the crows, because they they observe him all the time, and they sort of know that there's a certain time when Pa goes straight for the crows. And I think the branching of the crows is only a few days, but they do breed several times. So go back again. So Pa, with his good eagle eyes, is very aware of the pattern of the little crows, and then he will dive for them and actually catch them. I've seen it a few times. It's quite, well, it's a bit gruesome too, but that's the way nature is. And of course, crows are very intelligent, and they do remember exactly the type of eagle they've seen. They know who's Ma, they know who's Pa. They can distinguish all eagles on the beach, in fact. And I will immediately know when Pa comes down to the beach, because it's always an escort of crows. So it's fairly easy to know who's who. Ma, as far as I've seen, does not chase crows. You may have seen something different. I don't know. Maybe for those of you who've been following the eagles on a daily basis have seen that Ma has come in with crows. That this may be the case. I have not personally seen it. That's also why she's more left alone by the crows. But she does, I've seen incredible dives on the beach by her, going for midshipmen, and mainly midshipmen. I always know when it's her because she's got this incredible distinctive dive, and she seems to be less scared. She sometimes comes quite close to where I am, very little bother, sometimes so close that it's too close for my camera to even take a picture, and I'm rather startled by her sudden appearance. A very skilled, very skilled huntress, I should say, and well, she does make it up to the nest. What is interesting about the way the eagles fly back to the nest is something you will not be able to observe so much from the live cameras, is they seldom go directly steep up to the nest. They will usually take a type of spiral up, which means similar to an airplane. When you know the frustrating part when you come into when you know come into a large airport, you will often see the airstrip below you and think, why doesn't the pilot just dive down? Well, he doesn't, because of the winds, of course. And the eagles are very much like large gliders, and they know the winds exactly. And I usually try and orient myself according to the way the wind blows, so that I can capture the eagles from the front side when they come in. So they usually come in a spiral anyway towards the nest, which gives me some time to take some of the marvelous pictures I've been able to take, because I know their patterns of behavior. It's just a lot of observation, but they do take me by surprise very often, because sometimes they take the direct route, or some different routes. Okay, I see we're still live. That's good. I think we're still live. I can see that here. I've even got a laptop up here, so it's very sophisticated. So I'm occasionally staring down to see whether we're still live, but as far as I can see, we are live. I've turned down the sound volume, the microphone volume, not to get any backfeed effects. So I assume the microphone is working fine from the levels I can see. It's really a lovely afternoon here. I love this time of the year simply because of the eagles, and we're very fortunate and very privileged to have this type of habitat of eagles here in White Rock, and especially with the White Rock Nest and the support of the Hancock organization, the Hancock Foundation. That really, and all the volunteers, of course, that are involved with it, that gives tremendous amount of hours. Oh, sorry. Sometimes it may happen that I go offline. That's because there's a timeout on my live view, which I must remember, so that that doesn't happen. So I think I'm back. I'm back live now. Let me just switch to the other camera view. So now that's the wider view that you get zooming out, and that's how I see it from here about. So you can see I'm a fair distance, and then as I zoom in with a 200 millimeter, that's how you see it. And now we switch over again to the 800 millimeter. And that's the close-up view, and we'll get a lot closer later when hopefully there's more action. I'm sorry I cannot, you have to listen to my voice at the moment. There's not much going on. So, well, patience is what it's all about. I hope there's not too much interference here from wind, because we do get these blasts of wind up here, of course, because we're higher, and that can interfere with the quality. So that's, if you hear that, don't worry about it. It's just the way the wind is. But I do have a good microphone attached to my camera actually, but I forgot the windshield. You can hear the train coming in. That's happens about every hour or so. I'm sure you've heard that also through the live cams. The eagles don't worry about that anymore. Only the juveniles. Photographers know when the train comes in, it's a good time to get ready with your camera because that's usually when some of the eagles that don't know the train will start flying upwards, and it's time to take good pictures. But in general, eagles are not at all worried about it. At least our white rock eagles, I'm sure, don't even hear the train anymore. Yeah, our two eaglets are still fast asleep. Still not going on, not very much going on. I don't know where Ma and Pa are at the moment, but I haven't seen them around much today. I don't know if you have been watching the cameras. Later, when we get more interactive, hopefully we can get in messages and do direct chats, uh, live, live interviews and so on, which will be much more exciting. So at the moment, unfortunately, I'm holding a bit of a monologue, so you have to bear with me. That's only the beginning. We'll do a lot better in future. Anyway, for those who don't know, I'm Christian Sasse. I'm the White Rock Eagle photographer. I'm working together here with the Hancock Wildlife Foundation. Uh, David Hancock will be joining in later sessions when we get more live, and then it'll get much more interesting. I think also in the next weeks, as the eaglets grow up, it's going to be rather exciting when they start branching. 2 years ago, I witnessed that very closely. It was really exciting. That's also where the White Rock Eagle book came out. And if you do want to see something, you want to donate something to the Hancock Wildlife Foundation, do go for that book. Um, Foundation always needs money, as you know. All foundations need money, so they're very happy about your donations. I just see. Let's see. Who's that? Yeah, I've just seen. I think I've seen Ma. You can hear her at the moment. She's off in another branch. I cannot see her, otherwise I would be directing my camera at her. But she's hidden somewhere in a tree to the south, to the direction of south. But we are more or less looking west here. I should say southwest. Sorry, we're looking southwest. Actually, it's interesting. From here, I can look straight across to Point Roberts. I'm going to give you a quick review of that. Let's see if I can manage that. I'm just going to switch over to the other camera and then try and give you. So, okay, I'm just going to give you a wide picture of the White Rock nest, and then I'm going to look over to Point Roberts for 1 second. Okay, sorry about some technical issues at times. Do stay online and then you'll see it. I'm looking at Point Roberts at the moment. It's very hazy early in the morning, and I'll do some morning sessions from here too. You get an absolutely clear view of Point Roberts, where, as you know, Point Roberts is in the U.S. It's the tip right across Boundary Bay from here. If you look from White Rock across, you do see it. And in the morning, I can actually, if I put my camera on 60 times resolution, I can make out eagles on the other side. It's quite incredible, actually. I think the distance across there is at least 10 miles, and the resolution of the camera on a clear day is so good that I can actually make out a single eagle. It's absolutely phenomenal, but only early in the morning when the visibility is exceptional. Of course, at the moment it's very hazy, so it's not very interesting to see. Look over at Point Roberts. Um, what we are planning, and hopefully that will work, is Ma often sits on one of these water markers that are sort of a quarter to halfway all the way across to Point Roberts. And she sits there, and we're trying to install, David Hancock is actually trying to install a second camera there. Because what I've noticed is that that seems to be the White Rock marker uh, that belongs to these eagles, and they're very, very meticulous about their territory, even out there, and they'll get quite furious if anybody else invades it. As far as we can tell, mushing occasionally and comes back, so it's interesting to see if we can get a live camera out there that you could actually see Ma flying in, and then we could show you the perspective from here as she comes back. Typically, her flight out there would take several minutes. It's quite a distance. I often see them until they disappear completely out of my line of sight. I would be able to see them actually with this camera. Okay, we're looking at the nest again. Not much going on, so you can have some coffee and do what you do when you observe eagles. Wait patiently. For those of you who are just joining, I'm Christian Sasse. Um, I've got my cameras up here, and I've got good support from the Hancock Wildlife Foundation. So we're looking at the White Rock Eagle Nest. At the moment, you'll be able to have a much better view through the live cameras, actually, that point directly at them. Um, I don't think there's much movement. They're still sleeping. I don't know where Ma and Pa are at the moment. I think I heard Ma in a tree south of. It's about 400 feet from me, but I cannot see her at the moment. But usually they do come back at night. Hopefully they'll do that tonight. As the eagles grow up, as you know, um, the frequency of feeding increases, fly in and out a lot more because the eaglets are no longer threatened by some predators. We are right in the middle of the midshipman season here. Quite exciting to go down to the beach. You'll see as the tides are low, if you, for example, Google uh, White Rock tides. You'll see the cycles of the tide. At the moment, we've got exceptionally low tides, which is close to 0 meters, which is the lowest it can get. We had a very low tide this morning at around noon. The best time to go down to the beach and observe wildlife is 2 hours before the minimum of low tide. That's when all the midshipmen are caught in tidal pools, and that's when the crows and the eagles are there, and they're although there are so many, uh, you can often see their crops are completely full. They would sit there on a rock, just around a low tide. When the tide is lowest, that's when the eagles are usually completely knocked out by food. They're almost drunk, and they'll sit there completely tired, just staring. So it's not the best time for photography. The best time for photography is 2 hours before low tide, when there's really a lot of action going on. Now we have high tide again, quite a high tide, so I cannot see any rocks down there at the moment. The idea is later too, is when we have low tides, is to give you a direct view down to the beach. Hopefully there are more eagles. There were quite a few eagles down there this morning. There was light rain. Uh, was a bit up to work like most people do, but I do enjoy my work, which is quite important. And I also thoroughly enjoy wildlife, and especially the eagles, and being able to share this is quite a privilege too. So it's actually a lot of fun. Okay, we're now on camera two. That's more the wider angle. That's the wider view of. That's the way I see it. Approximately 70 millimeters from here. With a 70 millimeter lens, actually the correct proportion would be 50 millimeters, but it's more or less how I see it. And then as we zoom in, you can see much more already than I do with the naked eye. Yeah, I've worked out I've got about a 3 to 5 second delay between when I speak and when you hear it, so the delay is very acceptable. Um, it's actually quite got fairly good internet connection here, which is really marvelous. And I think the quality that you'll get across also from the camera, from my cameras here, from the lenses later once the eagles come in, I think you'll enjoy that. Sorry for the occasional shaking. I do move here, and the lift I'm up here at 45 feet is very sensitive to movement. I must say, the first time when I went up here 2 weeks ago with David Hancock, and he was steering this lift, I was quite scared of heights, but I've got used to it. I could have never imagined that 2 weeks later I would be broadcasting from here. 40. but it's just something if you're not used to it, it takes quite you have to get around it. Now it doesn't worry me anymore. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. But the first experience was a bit daunting. Makes me wonder, of course, about eagles. They certainly don't have any vertigo. At least I don't know of such cases. It's getting quite windy up here, so I hope there's not too much interference with the microphone. We have a typically southerly wind today. That's the you probably, if you noticed it from the live webcams that are installed over the nest, you can see often the pattern of the waves, and thereby you can see the wind direction, and that's usually the direction that the eagles take off. So if the eagles take off, they'll take off towards towards the ocean, towards the bay at the moment. Sometimes the wind direction does change, which makes it very interesting. But at the moment, we've got strong winds, so if the eagles would come in, they would fly up directly, because the uplift that they get, the lift is quite incredible, so they can take the shortcut. Otherwise, it's much more work. They'll take a long way, a route around to the nest, which sometimes takes them about a minute. Actually, it's quite a long journey. Um, I think we'll see all that as the days progress. As I said, at the moment we've got strong winds, so they'll probably take the direct way up. Usually, when you do photography, try and place yourself with a back to the wind. Don't face the wind. I'm facing the wind at the moment, which means that the eagles are taking off into the direction of the wind. So you always want to look, if possible, um, put yourself with your back to the wind. Especially when you do eagle photography, try and put yourself, have the sun in the back if possible, and have the wind in the back. I mean, that's very rare that you get both of these opportunities, but very often on the beach, when you get a wind that sort of comes in at a 45 degrees angle through the beach, walk in the direction of the wind, because all eagles will always take off into the wind. And it's important to know that, because if you want to have some beautiful eagle photography, that's the way to do it. And the sun is another factor, of course. Here in White Rock, the best opportunities for doing photography is definitely the morning, because the sun will come from behind and you'll have a low incident angle of the sun, which gives you very, very good contrast. The best photography I've done is definitely in the morning. Definitely. In the evenings, it's not easy because I'm looking directly into the sun. The sun is, of course, in the west at the moment. It'll go down in the northwest later, but it's coming directly from the west. Much more difficult for photography if you are, um, even if you are about 45 to 90 degrees away from the sun. It still is quite a challenge. Very often I see photographers going out at noon. You can. I mean, it's always good to go out whenever the opportunity is there. But as I said, do try and if you do eagle photography, go 2 hours before low tide and try and get the moments when the low tide. It's important not to go too close to the eagles. That's why I also have a huge lens. It's all important to have respect because we have precious nature here. I think fortunately most people are aware of that. They do they do have their dogs on leashes. It's good to see that. Occasionally, you do see some irresponsible people, but fortunately, they're very few. Yeah, if you look at the wide view at the moment, you will see on the you'll see the nest in the middle, and on the left you can actually see one of the pan tilt zoom cameras attached. That's of course now you're getting a view of the camera, which is one of the cameras that everybody's benefiting from. The other camera you can see, you should also be able to see on this picture is if you look directly above the nest, there's a second camera mounted there, and there's a third camera too, which you cannot see from here. But those two cameras are one of the two of the three cameras that are used for the Hancock Wildlife Foundation broadcasts on a daily basis. there were at least one or two nuisance crows bombarding Pa, and Jules got and was pick at Pa and said, Pa, why don't you get that crow for me, please? What are you doing here? it's, it's really comical sometimes to watch them. I'll probably do another broadcast early in the morning. I hope there's no rain. If there's rain, of course, I cannot do this. But I might be here at 7 a.m. I have to see what the weather's like. So I'm a bit cautious about announcing something that if I cannot promise it, I'd rather not announce it. But I might announce it 30 minutes prior. So if you are up tomorrow early, around 7 a.m., that's usually the best time to be here because there's a lot of action between because as you know the eagles are very hungry. You can see that of course on the webcams. What's the stream? What is that? Oh, Christ. I think we lost the stream. Sorry, sometimes the technology hicks up a bit. Very little going on today. Not sure why. It just is one of those days. I think mine power out somewhere. Don't even hear any crows, which is rather unusual because yesterday there was a whole orchestra here. So many crows, it was incredible. And today it's really quiet. It's rather windy, but very, very different. So, yeah, sorry, that's something I cannot control when the eagles come. Technology's there now, but we just have to be patient. It's quite chilly up here. Got clouds moving in. It looks like we're going to have some more rain. We were very lucky in June. We had wonderful days, very pleasant. But I think the forecast for the next days is not so good, so I'm not sure if I can do a live broadcast tomorrow morning. Not a lack of time, but the weather has to be stable. Yeah, we don't seem to be so lucky today. Um, I don't know where Ma and Pa are. Yesterday they were both there, and of course I wasn't ready for broadcasting then. Just the way it goes. Today we're ready, and now there's no action, so we'll just have to wait. As you can see, it's quite cloudy at the moment. Yeah, it's looking quite dark out here now. So clouds are moving in. Let's see how much longer we can wait. Maybe it's not much use today. It's just windy and cloudy. Yeah, you can see some wings flapping in the nest now, but their heads haven't. I cannot even see their heads properly. Sometimes wonder why nests don't have roofs, huh? Gee. See what the weather forecast for tomorrow morning is. But I don't think it looks very good, unfortunately. You see the waves are picking up now. It's a lot stronger wind now coming directly. The wind direction has changed slightly. So I have no idea where Ma and Pa are. They certainly are not. In fact, I see no eagles at the moment, which is probably a sign that a storm is coming. Usually at this time you would find a lot of juveniles flying past the nest. Nothing at the moment. So I think they sense that there's the turn of weather. Maybe not the best way to launch this, the best day, but there'll be better days. Here comes a poop. It's amazing. They actually blow. They certainly do not poop into the wind, so they obviously understand, nature already. They poop. Um, they poop facing the wind, which is completely correct. So they do understand wind. That's very helpful. Now, 60 times magnification. So let's see if we see the little one somewhere there. So this is incredible magnification. There you go. See if we can brighten it up a bit. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the movement that you're seeing is not the camera, that's the tree, okay? It's very windy, so the tree is shaking a lot up there. I mean, they have 120 feet up at least. So you do see quite a lot of swaying now, and the wind is also picking up here now, which is a sign that I think a storm's coming in. The wind is even more easterly now, so it's changing more and more east. This session very soon because I'm getting worried about the weather, and actually there's nothing happening, so you're not missing anything. Um, I'm sure that'll be better in future. It's just the way it is. But anyway, the sessions will get more interesting in future, I'm sure, as we become much more interactive. That's the whole idea, and David Hancock will be joining in, of course. And I'm sure we can get guests and hopefully text messages coming in and with questions, and we'll try and answer them and make it more interesting. So I think what I'll do now is I'm going to sign off because I have to pack up my gear before it gets really nasty here. So anyway, thank you for joining for now, and if you want to do something good, donate something to HancockWildlifeFoundation.org. They'll be very grateful. They need the funding. If you want to buy a White Rock book and enjoy the White Rock Eagles, you'll find it there. All the donation go to the Hancock Foundation. So I'm signing off now. Have a nice evening. I'll see how it is tomorrow. I might be out here tomorrow morning. I can't promise it. It's really the weather that'll determine it. Um, oh gosh, just you see, it's always when I sign off I start hearing Mao Pa, but I'm hearing something in the background right now. I don't know if we're going to quickly get a glimpse of them, but yeah, I do hear them. So I'm just going to hang on. Maybe they are coming in. They always do that when I sign off. It's unbelievable. It's amazing synchronization here. Let's just get the wide view. I do hear them. I can hear them very clearly. I don't know if you hear them, but they must be very, very close by. They're probably in the neighbor's garden, somewhere behind a tree. I can't see them. There's a lot of flapping going on. Sign off now. Well, thank you for joining, and hopefully see you tomorrow morning. But again, I'll have to check the weather, so no promises. Okay. So I'm going to switch off now and sign off and get out of here before it gets really nasty. Okay, then. Good night.